Ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel. It is the Auto Club 500, and not only it is the Auto Club 500, but we are racing at the California, formerly known as California Speedway. No qualifying or practice for today's race as we get scheduled here for this one. Start time will be right at about noon Eastern Standard Time. In a couple minutes, we'll take you through today's starting lineup coming in and interesting stories throughout the starting lineup as we get into today's 500-mile event. Another 500-mile race this season. 500-mile races have not been Greg Biffle's strong suit outside of the super speedways, so we'll see how this one will go here today. Only 10 races to go on the season, and we're in the thick of a championship battle. We'll bring it to you here today on the channel. Before we get started as well, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. If you enjoy the content on the channel, we do these NASCAR full race live streams on the daily with NASCAR video games. They start by realistic broadcast, or do these with the realistic broadcast in the start and the jump start of my broadcasting career. So help me out on that journey, as I know you guys have done for a while now. Tyler Bird back there and Dill, welcome to the stream. We'll hop on in.
We're in Fontana, California, home of the California Speedway for today's Auto Club 500. It's another great day for racing. We should see a lot of green flag racing in this one.
Yeah, and what makes these long green runs interesting is that although the cars are all relatively similar, they can have very different pit windows. That can play a very important role at the end of the race when determining who has to pit again and who can go the distance.
Robbie Gordon does not have the finishes he's hoped for in the past couple races.
Oh, he definitely wants to turn things around starting now. His whole crew seems determined to pull out of this slump. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off at least a top 15.
Jeremy Mayfield changed teams after the 2001 season, ending a 4-year tenure with Roger Penske.
A lot of people, Ray Evernham included, believe Mayfield still has a lot of untapped potential. He certainly has shown flashes of brilliance in the past. Maybe he can put that number 19 Dodge in victory lane today.
Greg Biffle sure turned things around last week with a win.
I spoke with him this morning, Joe, and he assured me that the win last week has put the whole team in a different state of mind. He used the word revitalized, and I really think that's a fitting description for all the guys over there.
Take you through today's starting lineup. It's an interesting starting lineup at the front of the field. And we'll start things off with the front row. Starting row number 1, we've got Michael Waltrip on the pole for the first time this season. And he could be looking to go to victory lane. The DEI cars have been great on the bigger tracks this season. Matt Kenseth outside pole. He'll start second, looking for his first win of the year. We talked about the DEI car in the front row. How about the DEI car in row number 2? Third in points coming in, Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting third. Second in points, Ryan Newman on the outside. Tony Stewart's the Winston Cup points leader coming into today's race. He'll start 5th with 1 win on the year. Jeff Gordon, also a win on the year, will start 6th. Elliott Sadler and Jimmy Johnson will be in row number 4. Johnson's had a lot of strong runs. His rivalry continues with Greg Biffle into his home track today. Bill Elliott and Bobby Labonte will be in row number 5. Couple of former Winston Cup champs. Labonte with 1 win on the year. Elliott still looking for his first. Dale Jarrett and Kevin Harvick will be in row 6. Harvick, another driver who's performed well on the bigger tracks this season, and that includes winning the Daytona 500. Sterling Marlin and Rusty Wallace will be back in row 7. More drivers without a win yet this season. Marlin's been close in recent races. Hermie Sadler and Robbie Gordon will be in row number 8. Robbie Gordon is a California native looking to win in his home state today. Ricky Craven and Kenny Wallace will be in row number 9. Craven, his inconsistency has shown this year, but currently riding a hot streak. In row number 10, it's Jeff Burton and Johnny Benson. Burton won 2 races ago at Infineon. That was his first win of the year. Can he get win number 2 today? In row number 11, Jerry Nadeau and Ricky Rudd. Rudd, another one-time winner on the season, also on a road course at Watkins Glen. In row number 12, we've got rookie Jamie McMurray. Longtime veteran Mark Martin outside of him. Martin trying to find victory lane. He was close at Darlington in the last race. Mike Skinner and Joe Nemechek will be in row number 13. In row number 14, we've got Jack Sprague and Kevin Lepage. Two-time winner on the year, Jeff Green, will start inside row 15 with young upcoming star Kurt Busch outside of him in row 15, also looking for his first win this season. Jeremy Mayfield and Casey Mears will be back in row 16. Mears coming off a great top 10 performance pretty much out of the blue at Darlington a couple days ago. Ken Schrader and Christian Fittipaldi will be back in row 17. In row number 18, we've got Terry Labonte and Kyle Petty.
In row 18 will be the Kellogg Chevrolet and the Georgia Pacific Dodge.
And in row number 19, we've got Stanton Barrett and David Green, a couple of rookies. Towards the rear of the field in row number 20, we've got Ward Burton and Steve Park. In row 21, Brett Bodine and Ashton Lewis. Lewis running part-time this year in that 46 car, rounding out the field. The most winningest driver this season, Greg Biffle. He comes in with 11 wins, including winning in the last race a couple days ago at Darlington in that 400-mile event. This is going to be an interesting one. We're coming down the stretch of the season. It is going to be an exciting final 10 races if the pressure keeps anticipating. Tony Stewart coming off a DNF and where he blew an engine in the final 22 laps of the Darlington race a couple of days ago, bringing a couple guys right back in the thick of the points. Biffle trying to go for another max point save from the rear of the field. A long 500 miles this afternoon, and we're underway at California Speedway. Big checkup down the front stretch towards the back of the pack. Biffle just shot to the inside of about 5 cars. Almost ran right in the back of Stanton Barrett. The other 2-mile racetrack at Michigan, we've already raced at twice this year, and Greg Biffle was able to get the win in both of those races. You'd have to assume today could be a good shot for him to get another win this year. 3x3 throughout the pack as we go through the long straightaways on this racetrack. Drafting is going to be a big portion of today's race. Very, very high speed shown here at the California Speedway. Biffle already gets loose and gets hooked on the 57 of Lepage. Somehow both drivers keep it off the wall. Lack of practice is going to be a huge emphasis in the early going of today's race until things start to spread apart a little more. And Biffle becomes more comfortable with his race car over the course of the day. Although this is a somewhat newly paved racetrack and it is very fast, therefore that will be the challenge today. You're going to see speeds upwards of 200 miles an hour going into corner entry all day long, especially in turn 1. This fun stretch at the California Speedway, one of the longest in NASCAR. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. We're trying to block Christian Fittipaldi into turn 1. We saw 11 cautions in the last race at Darlington 2 days ago, rather, on Friday. The only trip to the California Speedway on this custom schedule season on NASCAR Thunder 2004. 3 wide down the front stretch going off into turn 1. This could be tight. Kyle Petty, not a lot of room in the middle, both with the car on his outside crowding him, and Biffle's getting crowded on the bottom, trying to not make contact with Kyle Petty. That definitely slowed him down quite a bit. Racing aggressively at the back of the pack in the early going of today's race. No, Kentucky Speedway wasn't introduced until, on the Cup Series side, until 2011, I believe, was the first race there. for the Cup Series. They were racing nationwide races / Busch / Xfinity races for a while from the mid to early 2000s up until last season in 2020. And truck dates as well. Three wide probably not going to work in the early going of this race, at least towards the back, where these guys seem to be racing very aggressively. Greg Biffle comes into the day 12th in the point standings. He is 729 points back, but don't count him out. He had a max points day at Darlington in a race where Tony Stewart blew an engine, the points leader, and he gained well over 120 points on him. If he can have a couple more events like that the rest of the season and continues to run inside the top 5, he could find himself back in it. It is not over yet. We still have a quarter of the season to go after this race concludes today. Next race of the season will be the Sharpie 500 at Bristol for the Bristol night race, and that will be tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so tune in for that one to see the next chapter of the season. But Biffle, I don't think can afford another DNF the rest of the season. He almost has to finish top 5 pretty much every race if he's going to want a shot to win the championship. Ethan, welcome to the stream. And again, Ken Schrader just not giving a lot of room to these drivers trying to make passes on him. You saw it with Kyle Petty. He was crowding him. Now he's trying to crowd Greg Biffle, but Biffle still makes a clean pass on him that time in turns 3 and 4. Now trying to use the draft on Ward Burton, who is fading back quite a bit as this race progresses on. And how about Terry Labonte? He's already gained about 6 or 7 spots in the opening 8 laps of the race inside the top 30. Ward Burton got really tight in turns 3 and 4. And Biffle's going to make a nice clean pass on him as well. Seems like turns 3 and 4 is more of the passing lane in the early going for Biffle. 1 and 2, he seems to be a little loose on entry and a little tight on middle to the, I should say center corner to exit of the corner. Trying to work maybe a little bit more on throttle time to help with the stability of the race car. You can run nearly full throttle around this racetrack, especially in turns 1 and 2. It's a lot wider sweep on entry to the corner. 3 and 4, you got to let out of the gas a little bit more, but you can also get back into it a lot sooner, which causes for a lot more straightaway speed down the front compared to the back, especially on corner entry into turn 1. Sterling Marlin has blown an engine in the early going of the race. He was in the top 10 in points coming in. And that could already be another spot forward in the standings for Biffle if he can just get to the end of the race. He wasn't that far behind him. Tough break for Marlin in the early going. He also started in the top half of the field. We saw a pretty calm race at Darlington until we got into the late stages where we saw the majority of the 11 cautions. 7 of the 11 cautions waived in the final 110 laps of the race. And we've seen that from various races this season where we have long green flag runs in the first half, quick race pace to start, and things just get more aggressive throughout the course of the day, but you're already seeing a lot of aggressive driving, at least at the back of the pack. Not sure exactly how the front of the pack is looking currently. Have to imagine Biffle's going to work his way to the front eventually today. We'll just have to wait and see how long exactly it's going to take. It doesn't seem like he's got as fast of a car as we've seen in the 2 Michigan races, but if he just stays out of trouble, he'll possibly be there late. 3 wide now underneath Terry Labonte, Casey Mears, Jeff Green, another one of Greg Biffle's rivals. He's going to have to be careful up there. Into turn 3, though, 3 wide. We haven't seen that work out too well in the early going of the race. Biffle trying to use the apron, giving a little bit more room to the cars to the outside. Again, the apron a lot more forgiving in this game than what you would see in the NASCAR heat games. That's why Biffle was able to make it work. Though also turns 3 and 4 here at Fontana are a little bit more forgiving than most racetracks on the NASCAR circuit, even today, when it comes to being able to actually hook the apron, especially around these bigger, faster racetracks. Progressive banking basically runs all the way down to the grass on this racetrack. Sorry, Jeff Green's one of the allies, not one of the rivals. My bad on that one. And Biffle's going to try to draft with that ally down the front stretch. Still over 7 seconds off the lead. A lot of cars still to pass. But a 500-mile race, it's one of the final 500-mile races this season. Talladega coming up in a couple races for the final time this year is another one of the 500-mile races, and I believe Lowe's Motor Speedway is the final 500-mile race this year, so that could be another upside for Biffle. He's been so strong in the shorter 400-mile races. We still have quite a few of them left in these final 10 races. A couple of short tracks in there. We got one more trip to Martinsville and Bristol yet. Again, Bristol coming up in the next race tomorrow evening. Not going to lie, after the Infineon race, DNFing 3 races in a row, again, starting another bad streak up until the max point stay in the DNF by Stewart yesterday. There is new hope and new life for Greg Biffle even, who is in 12th in the point standings coming into today's race, but he needs to be on point the rest of the season. No more mass mistakes. Still got another wild card race outside of Talladega left this season. Outside of a couple short tracks, if you include that, as well as we have another trip to Watkins Glen yet this year as well. That'll be the 4th and final road course race of the season. I haven't raced there since race number 8, I believe, at the very beginning of the year. Coming up within the next handful. Also, the Southern 500 at Darlington is the final race of the year. I guess I forgot about that 500-mile race as well. So still 3 more after this one. Make up a third of the final 9. Biffle down to the apron. Kind of cut his momentum off a little bit. Trying to take the shortest way around for now. Joe Newman right alongside of Ricky Rudd for position. Rudd has really faded as the season has gone on. He was very strong at the beginning of the year. He got that win at Watkins Glen in the first 10 races. He was in the top 5 in the point standings. Remember, he was actually in the top 2 of the point standings through the first quarter of the season. But he has not been able to keep that momentum up. A couple DNFs along the way, obviously, as well have hurt him. This field's slowly starting to get more spaced apart. Middle of the pack still pretty well congested together for the moment. Still outside the top 20. Jamie McMurray running a little bit higher line in turns 1 and 2. Biffle a little sideways. Is into the top 20 finally. Johnny Benson is one of the rivals of Greg Biffle. Not sure exactly how upset he is with him this week. So he's going to have to pay attention. And be on his toes and be alert when he gets near him. Fast racetrack like this is one of the last places you want to see purposeful contact from one driver to the next. Coming off a really bad accident in the latter portion of the race as well at Darlington, where Jimmy Johnson took out Greg Biffle after Biffle retaliated on Johnson earlier in the race. Caused a huge accident of about a dozen cars down the front straightaway. Sterling Marlin went airborne. Kind of landed on all 4 wheels coming back down the racetrack. Benson not upset enough to at least door slam Greg Biffle. Just enough room there, and Biffle makes a nice, clean pass. Eight people currently watch right now, and 8 people have hit the like button, so thanks everybody for doing that. Again, we have been having that like button get smashed over the last couple days, and I think that's helped. We've increased in subscribers, so I'm sure the algorithm is working out perfectly with that, so I appreciate it. As you guys do that, as you guys are also, of course, enjoying the content. Seems like up further through the pack, they're giving Biffle a little bit more leeway. His car's coming to him on the longer run as well, I'd have to imagine, compared to everybody else. Opening couple laps, his car was a little loose, a little tight sometimes, and I think a lot of it had to do with not only the congested nature of a double file initial start, but as well of the fact that he was having to pass so many cars very early because of how slow they were at the back versus how fast his race car is. Now that things have gotten spaced out a little bit better, it's helping Greg Biffle, that's for sure. So far, again, Sterling Marlin, the only driver out of the race so far today. Still 42 cars on the lead lap. That's another thing, too. Greg Biffle, 722 points back from Tony Stewart, but he is less than 500 back from second place. That's just how big of a points lead Tony Stewart has coming into this race today, even after a DNF. So it's one of those things where Biffle could easily get up to second place by just running consistent at the end of the year. It's going to be a matter of if somebody's going to be able to actually catch Tony Stewart himself. I believe that's Michael Waltrip just up ahead. He is really faded after starting on the pole today. No, it's not. It's Jeff Burton, it looks like. Another blue car running that Sitco sponsored 99 for Roush Fenway Racing. One of Biffle's teammates as he just passed another one of his teammates, Kurt Busch. Kurt's been good on the short tracks this year, knowing that Martinsville and Bristol still on the schedule. That could be probably his best opportunities to get that first win of the season. So many good drivers that haven't won yet this year, but we have had quite a variety of different winners, too. And actually, it is Michael Waltrip ahead of Jeff Burton. That's who I was seeing up here. Lap 26, he went from the pole back to 12th. Likely going to fall back to 13th once Biffle probably gets around him. Biffle's still working on Jeff Burton right now. Mark Martin, another one of his teammates up here. Martin started a little further back, so he's on the chart just outside the top 10. Martin slides down in front of Biffle. Biffle moves underneath, and Martin got a little tight in the center of the corner. And Biffle will make the pass for 11th. Sterling Marlin, another driver who has been a rival recently with Greg Biffle, but he's not upset enough to at least ram right into him. Biffle's likely going to try to make a pass into turn 1. He got a huge run in the draft down the front straightaway behind Rusty Wallace. And into the top 10 now for the first time today for the Biff. One of the wider racetracks on the circuit as well, though it is one of the flatter ones for it being as high speed as it is, but there's a good progressive banking from the top to the bottom. Though this game doesn't really do a whole lot of justice for running the top lane on any racetrack. Obviously, a lot of the racetracks around this time in NASCAR as well were pretty well paved as far as the intermediates went, so there really wasn't a line outside the inside, but even tracks that you would think they could run the top, it just doesn't really work that well in this game in particular, so it's another reason which makes harder passing opportunities as well, just because of that reason. Jeff Gordon right behind one of his teammates, Jimmy Johnson, towards the front of the field. Biffle getting a big run behind Gordon. He's already less than 3 seconds off the lead all of a sudden. Biffle a little loose, driving it in hard. Gordon trying to go up and block Biffle. He's going to have to be careful passing Johnson. We know Johnson's not too happy with Greg. Jeff Gordon gets underneath, and that could be the opportunity that Biffle needs if he can make it 3 wide, perhaps. And he will try to go 3 wide underneath Gordon and Johnson. So this is the opportunity Biffle needs to pass both the 48 and the 24. Still 3 wide as they go off into turn 1. Biffle drove it in so deep on the bottom, and they merge single file in the center of the corner now. Stanton Barrett, who is the first driver to go a lap down, that is still on the racetrack. Lap 30, there's Tony Stewart further up ahead as well. The points leader. Let's see if Bobby Labonte might be able to get underneath him, and we'll see if Biffle can maybe take a 3 wide maneuver to get around Labonte and Stewart. The 2 Joe Gibbs Racing teammates like he did on the Hendrick Chevrolet teammates of Gordon and Johnson. But not quite. Biffle to the inside of Labonte quickly now. Tony Stewart down to block. He is already upset with Biffle. Biffle crosses over now towards the outside. Big shot there, and Stewart just put Biffle in the wall. Biffle had a big source of speed there, and Tony completely shot Biffle into the wall down the back straightaway. Labonte actually drove off past both of them to move up to 6th. I think Biffle's all right if Tony Stewart wants to throw away a bigger championship lead. And now Stewart's desperately just trying to block Biffle. Biffle really loose into turn 3. Lost a little bit of ground from Smoke once again. Big run by Biffle in the draft of Tony once more. Biffle didn't drive it in as deep as Tony did. That allowed Biffle to beat him back to the gas. And Biffle turns Stewart. Oh, and a huge crash. I think Johnson got collected as well. Biffle was not messing around for the rest of this season. If Stewart wants to play games, Biffle is willing to play games back as he turns Tony Stewart. They race back to the caution flag. I couldn't tell if Biffle was ahead of Gordon at the line. Huge crash. Gordon, I think, beat Biffle back to the line. So Biffle just completely turned Stewart after Stewart put him in the wall. Huge contact from Johnson behind. So that kind of took 2 rivals out with one. Jeff Burton goes airborne and barrel rolls down the back straightaway. Huge crash in the early going of today's race. Wow, tough crash for Burton. Tough that a teammate of Biffle's got involved in that. We'll see if anybody comes to pit road in front of Biffle. That will be the deciding factor on if he pits or not. And they are pitting. Oh, they were starting to pit, and Biffle was going to pit because of it. But I guess he'll lead a lap under caution and get some bonus points. And green flag back in the air, so Biffle will get bonus points here. Stanton Barrett lined up on the inside. Junior trying to get on by. Biffle's led his first lap of the day. Dale Jr. to the lead with a better restart. About to go 3 wide for third off of turn 2. Biffle trying to get a run on Barrett. Barrett was the only driver 1 lap down at the time of the caution, so that is why he restarted up with the leaders, but on the inside lane. And that really costed Biffle the lead because Junior just went down to follow Barrett to hang Biffle out to dry, with Biffle not getting a great launch. So Dale Jr. is out in front now here at Fontana, and I believe he's on fresher tires. So we're really going to see how strong of a car Biffle's got now. Not only is he going to have to try to pass the race leader, we could see some debris cautions, though, that is for sure, especially with Burton going airborne. There was a huge crash. I mean, how many airborne crashes have we had this season? That's 2 races in a row now that has happened. Actually, it might be 3 in a row. Didn't somebody flip in that big accident on lap 2 at Sonoma as well? So that might have been the case. Bobby Labonte up to 3rd, Kevin Harvick 4th, but Biffle not playing games. Stewart put him in the wall first. Biffle wasn't having it. He had an opportunity to get him back, and he did immediately. And there were at least 4 drivers involved in the accident. Just beyond the lap 30 marker. Lap 40 currently. Got to try to stay in the draft down the straightaways to really keep up with Dale Jr. His only hope on a little bit older tires to try and do that. We don't know what the... so, yeah, we have... Oh, we have another accident. It doesn't sound like debris. As they race back to the caution flag, Dale Jr. will have the lead. Second caution of the day now at lap 40. Here at California. So it was debris. Johnny Benson will shed the debris off his race car. Kind of expected something like that to happen. I didn't realize Benson had contact or had anything to do with that prior incident, but I guess he did. It's going to be a good time for Biffle to pit now. It's going to be tough for him to get back to the lead. Bend over, welcome to the stream. So Biffle and his crew. Going to hit pit road. Dale Jr. out in front here. We're about a fifth of the way through this race, almost approaching lap 50 already. Here at the California Speedway. 4 tire stop, damage will be repaired. Not sure why they're making another chassis adjustment, but oh well, that's just something with this game. They were doing that all race long at Darlington too, and I'm not sure why, but at least we went on to win, so I guess it didn't matter at the end of the day. Hopefully it won't matter today as well. So Biffle, the only one that came to pit road there. He was able to stay out, lead a lap. Now we had that debris caution. Green flag back in the air again. And if I had to imagine, I don't think the debris cautions are done. Michael Waltrip is out of the race now as well. So I'm not sure if he was involved in that accident or not. Could have very well been involved in the big accident down the back straightaway. I guess it seems like there were more than 4 cars that were involved, knowing that Johnny Benson had significant damage to shed debris, and obviously Waltrip's out of the race, so I'm not sure if that was a blown engine since the accident, or if he was involved heavily in the accident enough to the point it ended his day. But a tough break for Waltrip. Came in as the pole sitter. First time he sat on the pole this year, had high hopes, quickly fell outside of the top 10, didn't have the speed. Oh, another crash! Nearly, at least. There was heavy smoke, and a big stack up off of turn 4. Sparks were flying. I think somebody got into the wall. We stay green, though. And that is a lot of positions gained all of a sudden. Biffle goes from 39th to 27th on the restart because of it. I'm sure he'll take it. Black Ace, welcome to the stream. Missed a lot of action already here in the beginning of the race. 2 cautions in the first 45 laps now of today's race, including a big accident down the back straightaway. Stewart put Biffle in the wall, and then when Biffle got right back to him, he paid him right back. A couple laps later, Johnson was involved heavily in the accident. Jeff Burton went barrel rolling down the back straightaway. Other drivers involved, perhaps Michael Waltrip, if that was the reason he's out of the race. Johnny Benson was involved. Yes, you're right. 3 drivers are out of the race now because Waltrip scored 41st. So we're unaware of who that second driver is. Sterling Marlin blew an engine in the opening 10 laps of the race, so we know he's out of the race and has been out of the race. Biffle pretty much on equal tires, maybe 2 to 3 lap fresher tires, but that's it. We still might get more debris cautions. It's not impossible. from that major accident. We've only had one so far. There were a lot of drivers involved. Ooh, somebody got in the wall, I think, off of turn 2 as well. They either got in the wall or they got close to it. Couldn't tell if that was just the dusting coming off the wall or if that was actual smoke. Look at that. 3 wide. Oh, 4 wide off of turn 4. Nearly, as they try to get around the lap car of Stanton Barrett. It's really slow here today. He would have restarted towards the front of the field again. He just falls back so quickly. But they merged right around him. And already Biffle's in the top 25 again. I think that checkup definitely helped. That was 10 positions he got easily in 1 lap on the restart. We know these restarts can be treacherous at this racetrack with how wide it is, how long the straightaways are as well. Again, just trying to work that draft as well as you possibly can. Nice 3 wide pass on both Ricky Rudd and Hermie Sadler that time. Rudd continues to fall back, still outside the top 20. Ward Burton's working his way back in. He was outside the top 30 after starting near 20th. And he's running 21st on the grid currently. Somebody got tight in the center of the corner, right behind Jamie McMurray. I believe that is Jeremy Mayfield. He's got quite a bit of damage too. No, that's the other Ray Evernham car, Bill Elliott. Waltrip was also in the top 10 in the point standings, so we've already had 2 drivers in the top 10 of the standings of Marlin and Waltrip out of today's race. Biffle drives past Bill Elliott, now trying to go to work on fellow rookie driver Jamie McMurray. These 2 battling for the Rookie of the Year. Biffle leads the Rookie of the Year standings, but not by much over McMurray. Both running right next to one another right now. Biffle looking at the season end championship though, but again, even if we get eliminated from contention to try and win the championship in these final 10 races of the season, there is still obviously an opportunity to win the Rookie of the Year, a very strong one at that. There's Jeff Burton. He went airborne, barrel rolled down the back straightaway at least once after flipping, and he's still driving, and nonetheless he's in the top 20. That's incredible. Tony Stewart's not out of the race. I did see him on the replay of the debris caution from Johnny Benson. He was running a couple positions behind him, so Tony Stewart is still in this race. Biffle going to try the outside to get around Jeff Burton. Not sure if this is going to work into turn 3. Biffle hasn't really been able to make a pass on the outside. I don't know if anybody has. Burton's driving his teammate pretty hard right now. Can't be too thrilled that he went airborne in an accident caused on a fast racetrack by his teammate, but you got to understand the fact that Tony Stewart obviously started it by putting Biffle in the wall, and Biffle's not having that. Especially with the points leader that he's trying to catch up on. Shenanigans like that are going to be pulled. Biffle's not going to take anything of it. He still has to get back at Jimmy Johnson so far after the last race when Johnson caused the big one at Darlington. I think Stewart's driven his way back into the top 10 already, too. Probably didn't lose too many spots with the pit stops, perhaps, as well. Not sure how well he got his car fixed afterwards as well. Just have to wait and see. Oh boy. Biffle tried to fall himself back in line in between the 1 and the 0-1. Really had him cleared. Jerry Nadeau, that is. Another car with a ton of damage to the front. Oh, contact between Jeff Green and Greg Biffle. Still gets around Joe Nemechek, who has a ton of damage. Has to be slowing him down. There's Tony Stewart further up ahead. Trying to get by him cleanly. I'm sure Stewart's going to try to repay the favor again on Greg Biffle. Biffle with a nice clean pass there on Ricky Craven. Johnny Benson's not upset enough to wreck Biffle, so he'll try to work around him to the outside now, down the back straightaway, into turns 3 and 4, trying to pinch the 10 car down. Biffle gets a little loose, slides up the track. I think they're still going to be side by side off of turn 4. Biffle trying to stay in the draft of some of these guys ahead. Stewart still has a ton of damage to the back of his race car after the accident. Remember, Johnson's hit him so square in the back bumper, and Biffle does make a pass on the outside on Benson. Great run. Now he's going to have to try and get around Tony Stewart as cleanly as he possibly can. He'll be battling for 11th as Biffle has just gotten around Dale Jarrett for position. Biffle to the inside of Stewart. Stewart, door checks him. Biffle going to complete the pass. Looking to drive away. Jeff Gordon now trying to block Greg Biffle. Biffle's trying to keep Stewart behind him right now. And Biffle again working to the outside. Drafting behind Elliott Sadler. Mark Martin's got a ton. Wow, Martin moved up right in front of Biffle. 3 wide in the middle. Gordon moves up into Biffle. I don't think he realized they were 3 wide. Martin falls back a couple positions there. Crossover move now by Biffle to the inside of the front stretch on both Elliott Sadler and Jeff Gordon inside the top 10. And they'll be 3 wide as they go off into turn 1 with Gordon in the middle this time. So many cars have damage from that accident. Kurt Busch looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the back of his bumper. There are a lot more cars involved than what we thought. It was about 4 or 5 originally. Of course, having to race back to the caution flag was probably a big factor in that. Biffle's teammates trying to block him with Kurt Busch. Busch about to get past though off of turn 4. Daniel Ninero Lopez, welcome to the stream. I wonder if Johnson might be the other driver out of the race again. He hit Stewart pretty hard. Then he hit the outside wall after he hit Stewart. Who knows who else piled in after that point. Because again, we have a 3rd driver out of the race. Still has to get paid back on Johnson yet as well. Looks to the inside of Rusty Wallace. Wallace tried to pull the block, wasn't clear. There's a little contact. Almost kind of worked like a bump and run maneuver. Clears him off of turn 2. At least it wasn't significant contact, but any contact on this fast of a racetrack could be very well significant. Only led maybe 1 or 2 laps. Again, both under caution. He hasn't led a green flag lap yet today, and we're already 60 laps in the books. Harvick gets a little tight off of turn 2. Biffle drives underneath him and moves into the top 5 now, passing Kevin Harvick. And I think Jimmy Johnson might be the next driver out of the race, unless he's in the top 3. That's the only other way, because we haven't seen him charging up through the field. So that might be the answer to who that 3rd driver is that's out. Could very well be Jimmy Johnson. Ends up blocking his teammate now. Just gets to the inside of Kenseth now off of turn 4. Trying to get a draft off Ryan Newman down the front stretch, and now I'm sure Kenseth is a little bit. Newman's trying to shake both drivers, but Biffle will make the clean pass for fourth on his teammate. Took him a couple laps, so he was willing to be patient with it. Biffle looking low underneath Newman. Big run down the front stretch. Dale Jr. in second place. Not sure who the race leader is right now. Biffle will make the pass on Newman for third in turns 1 and 2. So Biffle trying to charge to the front, trying to lead that first green flag lap of the race. But again, even though he led under caution, it's still a lap led regardless. So he does have at least 5 bonus points today. But obviously wants to try to max out and get 10. We know Junior's led a lot of laps already. I'm just not exactly sure who else could have led quite a few laps today. Bobby Labonte's out in front currently. Still not sure exactly how far the fuel run is. Everybody pitted within those first 2 cautions of the race as well. So we'll have to figure that out over the course of this run, exactly how far they could go on a full fuel run. Again, first time we have come into this race today. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson seems to be out of the race. Well, that's one less worry for the rest of the day for Biffle. He didn't even get to get payback on Johnson for it, but he's out of the race one way or another, so at least it makes for a calm day. Bristol being the next race might be a little bit better of a track for something like that to happen. We'll have to wait and see. Slow car down the back straightaway. Another driver is blowing an engine. Jeff Burton. You would have to imagine that had a lot to do with the accident he was involved in earlier. That engine might not have seemed to have had much left in it after flipping, and he is done for the day. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle is going to make a pass now on Dale Jr. for second off of turn 4. Clears him cleanly, and as his eyes set on Bobby Labonte, who's still about 7 to 8 car lengths ahead. So Jimmy Johnson, Michael Waltrip, Sterling Marlin, and now Jeff Burton are out of the race. And Jim and Marlin, though. We're getting a big run down the front stretch on Bobby Labonte. Drives it in a little loose there through 1 and 2. He's charging hard. See if he can get to the lead as quick as he can. Now that he's here with an opportunity, down the back straightaway, looks inside, he's there. Labonte looked to pull low and block, but Biffle had such a big run. Into 3 and 4, a little slide job, and Biffle to the lead off of turn 4. This will be his first green flag lap he's led all day at lap 69. But only leading 1 or 2 laps under caution. He hasn't led a lot today, so he's going to have to go on a rampage right now, leading a ton of laps consecutively if he can. About halfway through the fuel run, so maybe he can lead for the rest of the given fuel run if we don't get another caution. I'll tell you what, though, I seriously cannot wait to get to the end of this season just simply because I want to find out how this championship race is going to shake up and look like. if we're actually going to be able to pull this comeback off, because that is going to make for a very exciting final couple races of the season. Going to alternate to the different camera angles for the first time in this race today now. Jack Sprague's now the first lap car that these guys are going to catch over the course of the run. With a big run to the inside, will get around him, and then a lot of clean air ahead of Sprague. Bristol clears him even before they even got into turn one. Sprague, one of the slower cars today. He was really slow at Darlington, too, if I remember correctly. It's just not been a good rookie season for him. Car's handling beautifully today on top of the speed itself. That's something that was not the case at Darlington. It seemed like he had a pretty loose car for the majority of the race, but he was able to drive it fast for the full 400 miles and get to the end of the race. But here today, 100 miles longer, you need to have a little bit better of a handling car, likely, if you're going to make it to the end of the day on this fast of a racetrack especially, and Biffle's got just that. About 8.5 gallons of fuel, a little less than that left in the race car for the course of this green flag run. Everybody should be pitting right around the same time when the green flag stops do start. We've seen fuel mileage races here before when they had 500-mile races at Fontana, so don't be surprised if we see one here today. We've had a couple of them this season. Not many, but a lot of them about midway through the year. It's been a few races since we've had one. There was a stretch of races during the middle portion of the season where we had about 3 races in a row that were coming close on fuel to the end, Kansas being probably the more notable one. I keep saying Kansas. I meant Chicagoland probably being one of the more notable ones. I don't know how many times this year I talk about the Chicagoland race and I call it Kansas. For whatever reason. A lot of traffic there. Mike Skinner going to give Greg Biffle a ton of room. Biffle got really tight off of 4. At least he had Skinner cleared. Got a 6-second lead over Bobby Labonte. This car's starting to get a little bit on the tight side right now as this run carries on. So it starts a little looser, and as the run carries on, it looks like the car slowly gets tighter and tighter and tighter. A lot better at the 3 and 4 that time. Make a nice clean pass there on Fittipaldi. As well as Kevin Lepage, one of his rivals in there, but Lepage is not upset enough to at least door slam Biffle, so that's what made Biffle make the pass a lot sooner. That was just after accidental contact back in the opening couple laps of the race. Probably the most calm moment I think we've seen up to this point in the first 80 laps of the race. Nothing wrong with that. Moment there. Biffle makes a move to the outside of Brett Bodine. Not exactly what he was looking to do, but it's what ended up working out. Faster and cleaner, of course, so why not? Yeah, you're right, Michael. There's another driver that has pulled off the racetrack, likely with an engine failure. They've been on pit road for a little bit. Not sure who the driver is. We never got a chance to circle back around to him. They likely just blew an engine. If I had to imagine on the other side of the racetrack going into 3 and 4, an opposite end of where we were at that we weren't able to see it. They were able to get to pit road likely pretty soon. So about 5.5 more gallons left of fuel. About a third to a quarter of a tank remains. Go back to the far chase cam for now. 10-second lead. It's been built up, nearly 10.5 seconds between Greg Biffle and second place Bobby Labonte. Again, Dale Jr. currently sitting in third. Tony Stewart nowhere to be found, at least in the top 5. So it seems like as the race carries on, Biffle's car gets a little, or I should say everybody else's car kind of slowly catches up with Biffle. He seems to be very fast at the beginning of most races. For the races he does make it to the end. But where he's able to last is on the long run if there's a long green flag run. As we get more cautions late in the race, that's where it seems like he's been struggling a lot this year. And not only trying to get to the end of the race, but simply trying to get the win. Big block there by Steve Park off of turn 2. Went all the way down to the apron down the back straightaway. Finally gets underneath him. Big dive into the corner there on Kenny Walsh as well. That got a little close for comfort. Both those drivers now are going to go a lap down. Still quite a few drivers on the lead lap, though. Biffle hasn't lapped too many over the course of this run. Took a while to even get to the lap traffic, of course, with him coming not only from the back, but also Again, one of the bigger tracks on the circuit, 2 miles in length. So we went green last at lap 39. It's been a little while since the last caution. We have drivers hitting pit road currently right now, so green flag pit stops are just starting. Biffle can go at least a little bit longer. Now out to almost a 15.5-second lead. So Bobby Labonte tried to short pit quite a bit at Darlington. I wonder if he's going to be one of the drivers trying to short pit again today. A ton of drivers came to pit road this time by. Boy, the dangers of short pitting. These guys did not want to see a caution.
The 21 car is exiting pit road here. You need fuel.
So very low on fuel right now for Biffle. He can still go probably about 3 to 4 more laps. He'll try to push it as far as he can without obviously running out of gas. Don't want to do that, especially this early in the race. Saw how costly it was at Infineon when he was leading, and he ran out of fuel halfway through the race and ended his day. Wasn't able to get back to pit road as he ran out under caution. Still 2.5 gallons left in the tank. Lap 90 right now, so we are very close to lap 100. But again, not a 200 lap, 400 mile race like you're used to over recent years here at the Auto Club. Well, formerly known as California, obviously Speedway at this time. Auto Club Speedway, whatever you consider the name of it.
Car is entering the track ahead.
And obviously, with not really knowing exactly how far on fuel Biffle is able to go over the course of this run, just over 50 laps so far from when they last went green. Again, went green at lap 39. Still stretching a couple more laps, it looks like. At least one more. We'll know by the back straightaway Biffle will pit this lap or the following lap. Kenseth, Stewart, McMurray still on the racetrack and have not yet hit pit road, and Biffle does not want Tony Stewart to lead a lap today if he can help it. That was one thing Stewart was able to do, even though he DNF'd. He led over the first 20 laps of the race at Darlington. Still 1 gallon of fuel left, so Biffle can stay out another lap at least. So he tries to get around Jack Sprague in the zero, who's on a little bit fresher tires. We got one of the slower cars in today's race, but you're seeing the benefit of the fresher tires by Sprague. He's able to hang on in front of the 16 of Biffle. Jamie McMurray just came to pit road. Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart still on the track. Stand out a little bit longer, much like Biffle. We'll have to see how much ground Bobby Labonte's going to gain. Again, he was in second place, about 15.5 seconds off the lead before he hit pit road. So when Biffle finally hits pit road, which will be next lap. So Biffle staying out one more lap. It'll be lap 95 in which he'll pit. So it'll be a 56 lap fuel run for Greg Biffle under green. Tony Stewart, Kenseth on pit road. Actually, Kenseth just came. Sorry, that was McMurray. So Stewart and Kenseth are in the pits right now, or at least pitted the lap prior. Greg Biffle will be coming to pit road this time, so he should still be the leader when everything cycles through. But we'll see again how much ground Bobby Labonte was able to close in by short pitting, as he pitted about 5 to 10 laps ago. Probably closer to that 10 lap ago mark. Obviously got to make sure you don't speed. 70 miles an hour is the pit road speed limit. Easily going to get down in time. Second pit stop of the day. First under green for Greg Biffle. No adjustments on the race car coming. 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. And he is the last of the lead lap cars to hit pit road. No mistakes on the right sides. Nice clean green flag stop there for the Granger crew. Number 16 team. Stay on the bottom here. Stay on the apron. Very fast speeds around this track. There's actually going to be a lot of room for Biffle to pull up onto the racetrack down the back straightaway. There is nobody near him. So again, hangs on to the lead through the cycling of green flag pit stops. That car has got very little damage on it throughout the course of the race today. Pretty much no significant contact has been made. I think the most significant was when Stewart put him in the wall, but it was down the straightaway and it wasn't a hard impact. Enough for them to lose a couple spots, and that's why Biffle was obviously upset and turned Stewart. Loose here trying to get up to speed. So at the line, Biffle has been up to speed now. He's got a 14.7 second lead over Dale Jr. So Jr. actually cycled ahead of Labonte. Labonte gained about a second of time. I think Jr. is able to gain about 2.5 seconds on Biffle by short pitting, so it did make a difference, but not a huge difference with how far back they have been, but still a long ways to go today to try and decide things here in this one. Oh, caution on the racetrack. That's the third caution of the day. Trying to look at the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen to see where anything might be stacking up, and I'm not seeing anything as Biffle rolls into 3 and 4. There's smoke in turns 3 and 4. That might have been where the accident was. We'll see. So lap 99, third caution of the day. This is going to stack things up. Everybody just completed green flag stops, and that big 15.5 second lead for Biffle is now gone. And around went Mike Skinner. So Skinner just loses control. Hits the wall. He's already a lap down. Gonna pancake the right side of the race car as well. So a single car spin will bring out our third caution of the day. Because pit stops just happened, Greg Biffle's going to at least stay out of the pits here. And I believe everybody else behind him also stayed out. So currently, as we are shown, Biffle running 9th in the standings, 3 spots gained. Green flag back in the air. Biffle did not take off on the last restart. We'll see if he'll take off on this one. Lap cars lining up to the inside of the lead lap cars. Biffle was able to block Dale Jr. at least. Now back down in front of some of the lap cars. Terry Labonte, Casey Mears got on by. Dale Jr. maybe still looking high. As Biffle tries to hang on to the lead. Jr. almost got in the wall off of turn 2. That was pretty close. Oh, wow. Hermie Sadler got really tight and washed all the way up in front of the 8 of Junior, and that will give Bobby Labonte second place once again. So Biffle trying to get by Casey Mears and Terry Labonte as quickly as he can. Maybe Terry might help his brother out and come in there. Biffle really loose underneath the 41 of Mears, who isn't giving him a lot of room. Casey tries to hold on to his lap. Oh, little contact. Bobby Labonte closes in into turn 3. Biffle finally gets around Mears at least. Mears stays really high. Labonte's going to get around him cleanly. Now Biffle looking for the clean air if he can get by Terry. Makes a move to the inside down the front stretch. Accidental contact there going off into turn 1. Biffle trying to hang on to his race car. Trying to complete the pass, and he does. Bobby Labonte is coming, though, as he gets to the inside of Terry. Look at that straightaway speed down the back that Biffle's able to use. So nose to tail with the top 2 at the front of the field. From the restart, Biffle had about a 15-second lead before the caution flag waved for the 3rd time after a single car spin by Mike Skinner. Nobody else was involved. Labonte all over the back of Biffle. He's racing him hard, trying to get back to the front. Labonte's led laps today as well. Biffle, though, up to this point, been leading for a little while. About 40-plus laps now. That clean air is just too overpowering for Bobby Labonte. He was trying to keep up in the draft down the straightaways for a couple laps, and Greg Biffle's just slowly pulling away. We're going to alternate to the different camera angles once more in today's race. Labonte did pit 5 to 10 laps before Greg Biffle. That's got to be playing into some sort of an effect, I'd have to imagine, as well. I'll have to keep an eye on Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth, who pitted a little bit later, as well as maybe even Jamie McMurray. They might be able to charge through the field a little bit better, a little bit faster. Either one of those 3 are in the top 5 outside of Biffle leading, though. Biffle also had the track position versus those other 3 on the restart, where they had to restart mid-pack. And again, it was double file because of all the lap cars lining up on the restart to the inside of the lead lap cars. Which again is the case unless a caution comes out with less than 10 laps to go. Then it would restart single file with no lap cars to the inside, if there are any. Just kind of thinking about it a couple days ago. But can you guys believe we're already a month into the NASCAR offseason? It felt kind of slow when it happened at first. First weekend they weren't racing, but the last race was on November 8th. It's been over a month. We got just less than, actually just about exactly 2 months to go. 2 months from tomorrow will be the Daytona 500. 14th of February, Valentine's Day, 2021. But of course, Speed Weeks before that. Got the Clash that prior Tuesday night, so it'll be a lot of fun. At least we'll see cars back on the track. Probably sooner before we come to recognize it, I would have to imagine. It's going to be really close to whether or not it's going to be a 2 or 3 pit stop race to the finish from now as well. Caution probably helps save a little bit of fuel in the middle of this green flag run. Nobody pit at that time. Like Biffle's got a lot bigger of a lead than what he does, but it is only 2.5 seconds over Labonte. Still a lot of clean air, clean room to run. It's a good time to just log in some fast laps, log in laps led with no pressure, and to the end of the race by the time he has to pass another car or even battle with another car. We have another longer green flag run. That was our longest green flag run of the race before that third caution. That came out at lap 99. We've already been green for nearly 20 laps since the last yellow, but we went from lap 39 when we went green to lap 99, so it was a perfect 60-lap green flag run. Got a slow car on the inside of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. I believe that is another driver that has perhaps blown an engine, so we'll have to see who that driver will be when Greg Biffle gets up to him. A lot of DNFs in the early going of today's race. Again, not even halfway home. Very close to it, but not quite. Ken Schrader. So Ken Schrader is now blowing an engine on the racetrack. Still try to nurse it back to pit lane. Now a 3.5 second lead for the Biff. Schrader did make it to pit road. We stay green. Not surprising to see engine failures around this fast of a racetrack, especially in a 500-mile race. Asking your engines to do a lot for a long period of time. And seen quite a few drivers, again, DNF already today. Yep, Schrader is the 6th driver out of the race. There's still another driver that is done And DNF'd in between Jeff Burton and Ken Schrader, supposedly at least, and still not sure who that driver is. The first three that have been done for the day would be Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Michael Waltrip, and then obviously again Jeff Burton, Ken Schrader, and there's somebody else. But we know it's not Tony Stewart because we saw Stewart was one of the last drivers to hit pit road, and that was after that driver that we don't know of yet has DNF. So we know Stewart's still on the racetrack. Don't think he's led any laps yet, though, and he's not in the top 5 at least. Ryan Newman's jumped up to second pretty much out of nowhere. 5 seconds off the lead. So he was able to get around Bobby Labonte. He's just got to run his own race. One thing to retaliate on somebody else, but it's another thing to, obviously, as far as him trying to catch up in points and have a shot to win the championship over Tony Stewart. He's got to be the favorite coming into these final 10 races of the season. It's going to be a huge climb in the points. What a comeback it would be to go from 866 back at one point to try and come back and win the championship. As far back as 23rd in the standings at one point in time as well. When we had about a little over 20 races still to go in the season. And again, we haven't lost a championship mode or season mode championship on the channel yet, so you have to imagine it's going to happen at some point in time, and this is looking like it's going to be the one. We're not entirely there yet. I trust my own abilities to try to not let that happen, but we can't undo anything that's happened in the past. We can only make up for it for these races to come in the future. We're almost halfway home here, Fontana, California, at the California Speedway. The Auto Club 500. Yeah, interesting thing, by the way, with Ken Schrader. I actually got to meet him in person when I was a little kid. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, he races a lot of dirt. Goes dirt racing quite a bit still, even after his NASCAR career ended. I think at the time he wasn't racing in NASCAR anymore. I think he was retired from NASCAR, at least full-time. He might have been running part-time. I was a little kid. This was before I started racing, just before I started racing. So I was probably like 6, 7, 8 years old, somewhere in there. Probably about 6 or 7. And Seagate Center in Toledo, they had an indoor midget race. And he was one of the more notable drivers that were there. I actually got a t-shirt signed by him. I don't know where that t-shirt's at now. I got it signed by basically everybody that was there. There was an autograph session a couple hours before they started hot lapping, and I can remember vividly seeing his face sitting there. So that was pretty cool. I think that's the only driver I've actually like seen in person, like right in front of me, and actually got to talk to him. But again, that was a while ago. This is probably, again, 6, 7 years. This is every bit of about 15 years ago, roughly. So he might have still been racing part-time. I don't think he was racing full-time. That would have been in the mid-2000s. He might have been running the 49 cars still. I'm not entirely sure. Probably would have been like 2005, 2006, 2007, somewhere in that range. I'm sure he was probably still running part-time in NASCAR, but obviously he was there that weekend that he was running an indoor asphalt midget race. Well, I guess not asphalt, it was just an indoor midget race. It wasn't dirt. It was almost like concrete. Now I'm thinking about it. I think that's the only race I've seen in that place, too. And I think we only went because we knew Ken Schrader was going to be racing. I couldn't tell you who won, how the race went exactly. I just remember that moment of it and just remember seeing cars on the probably, I think it was like a third. No, it wasn't even. It was probably like a quarter mile. 3/8 mile track, probably. We are just past the halfway point. That was at lap 125. 8-second lead now for Biffle over Ryan Newman on the racetrack. Tony Stewart's climbed into the top 5 once again here in today's race. Probably still got anywhere between 20 to 30 cars on the lead lap. Again, there's not too many that are a lap down already. We've had 3 cautions up to this point today as well. Big accident right around lap 30. We had a debris caution just after that for Johnny Benson, shedding one of his front fenders. And then a single car spin by Mike Skinner in turns 3 and 4. Nobody else was involved in that. He's just kind of all by himself and lost control. We've been seeing that happen more and more, it seems like, with the single car spins. I think of Mark Martin at Talladega, spun all by himself, and that was the big one there. That caused a couple cars to go airborne. But there was no contact around him, and then we saw it at Michigan with Kevin Harvick early in the season as well. The first race we had at Michigan, I can remember him spinning on his own, and that was kind of the start of a chain reaction of a lot of cautions going forward in that race, but kind of brought up out of the blue. In the last race as well, there was a single car spin. Kenny Wallace spun right in front of a couple cars. A couple others were collected in that as well, but it was just at Darlington in the last race, and that kind of sparked a ton of cautions in the second half of that race. I don't think we've ever seen multiple ones in a race, though. But you never know, it could happen. Still with just over 115 laps to go. Stan Barrett looked really slow at the very beginning of the race, and it seems like as we get a couple more pit stops in, he's getting a little bit faster, and Jack Sprague's almost starting to fall back to his level, if not worse, at times, as far as the speed goes. Darlington's definitely a really fun track. It's slowly grown into one of my favorites, too. Had so many good races there the last couple seasons. Seemed like every race they had there in 2020 was a pretty good show between the Cup and the Xfinity. Even the one truck race wasn't bad. It's kind of a wreckfest in the truck race, but 8 out of 10 races in the truck seem to be wreckfest anyway. Tony Stewart has climbed up to 3rd place. Unbelievable. Edwin Biffle's running well. But again, I don't think he has led any laps. So at least that's an upside. Again, Biffle's just got to run his own race. He can gain over 100 points on him just by simply winning out, leading the most laps. And even if Tony Stewart leads a lap, at least one, and gets 5 bonus points and finishes 2nd, Greg Biffle can still outscore him by 100 points for these final 10 races. So that is even if he finishes 2nd. He's likely not going to finish 2nd every race. Granted, you also have to imagine we're probably not going to win every race out either. So those races we don't win, we just got to make sure that we get top 5s and top 10s, which we know we're capable of. And hope that Biffle can finish in front of him still. Gain something. But he's going to have to DNF a couple more times still. We said probably 3 or 4 times he's probably going to have to not finish a race, and now it's down to about 2 or 3 times to not finish a race after he blew an engine with 22 to go at Darlington on Friday.
Careful, fuel's getting low.
So starting to get into the more of the back end of the lap traffic right now, and on top of that, obviously, we're getting really close to green flag pit stops. Stewart still running down Newman. He's only just over a second behind him, and Ryan Newman is 15 seconds off the race lead, which is as big of a lead as Biffle had before that last caution came out. He was able to get that lead a lot quicker this time around. That was after the cycling of one set of pit stops. We haven't even gotten to the green flag stops during this green flag run yet. This is looking like it's probably going to be a 2-stop race to the finish. Biffle's going to make it really close to about 100 to go by the time he has to hit pit road this next time. And we've seen him go 56 laps on a green flag run itself. I'd have to imagine Stewart's going to try to stay out as long as he can again. He pitted only a lap or 2 before Biffle even did. And Biffle doesn't want him to lead a lap, so Biffle obviously is going to stay out as long as he can as well. Oh, man, almost had some contact there. Jeremy Mayfield, who was trying to sneak to the inside of Steve Park, and almost ran right into Biffle. Dog 48, welcome to the stream. There are pit stops going on right now. Some drivers started pitting the lap prior. More drivers coming to pit road this time, a little bit more this time around. Likely, again, the second to last pit stop today. Things are going to be close on making it on one more, but they should be able to make it. Just one more stop. Following this one.
He's not racing yet as hard as he could. Number 45, jump up. 45 car is looking nice. They're all around. Right rear's getting warm. Keep an eye out. Yeah, 1 car, tail left. All clear base.
Wow, Johnny Benson got really tight trying to pull up in front of somebody else coming to pit road. I believe it was Joe Nemechek in the 25, yep. And the only rival that would be worth trying to make contact with Biffle himself would be Tony Stewart, who's already gotten back on today, so he's going to try to pass him as cleanly as he possibly can. If he ever sees him again, obviously with Stewart into the top 3 now, it could be more likely if we get another caution. Martin just coming out of the pits, getting up to speed here. Biffle trying to draft his teammate down the front straightaway, trying to keep with him. Everybody flying by Ward Burton, you can tell he hasn't pitted yet. Biffle trying his best to get around Mark Martin and Johnny Benson. Not able to quite do it now. Now he gets to the inside of Martin at least. Another slower car that hasn't pit yet. I believe that's Ricky Craven in the 32 Tide Ride. To the inside of Benson. Ooh, 3 wide. Benson kind of made a little bit of contact there with Jeff Green. Perhaps to get around him. Ripple to the outside of Robbie Gordon. They'll clear him before they get into turn 1. Gordon, another one of the drivers that hasn't pit yet during this run. 3 wide behind. Martin in the middle. Gordon on the bottom. What a move by Mark Martin. Able to make the pass for position, I believe, on Johnny Benson. Right in between him and the slower car of Robbie Gordon. Jackman Attack, welcome to the stream. Oh man, championship implications there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has blown an engine. 3rd in the point standings. He was one of only 2 drivers that were within a race of Tony Stewart. And Dale Jr., running in the top 5 for most of the day, has now blown an engine here at Fontana with just over 100 laps to go, and his day is going to come to an end. Wow. And with Stewart running well, that's not good for him. McMurray, Stewart still on the track. Oh, Biffle got really loose into 1 and 2. Big slide up the track. Mark Martin's going to get right back around him. Biffle's going to let his teammate go. Maybe try to draft him down the back straightaway now. Biffle can stay out. It looks like at least 1 more lap. He's going to get right back underneath Martin again. Martin gets tight. Turns 3 and 4. Biffle completes the pass cleanly right back. McMurray still on the track. Tony Stewart pit that last lap, so he will not lead a lap. Still up to this point today. Johnny Benson, meanwhile, trying to get right back around Mark Martin again. And Greg Biffle will be hitting pit road this time at lap 149. Second green flag stop of the day. Oh, had to slow up. Jamie McMurray pitting at the same time. Almost ran right into the back of him, and now here we go. 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel coming for the 16, no adjustments. Second green flag stop of the day, and the 3rd pit stop now total. Hoping for another clean stop. Really fast pit stop on top of a clean one as well for the 16 team of Greg Biffle. Trying to get up to speed now right behind Jamie McMurray in the 42. A little bit of time on McMurray on pit road. Biffle looking now to the outside there of McMurray. Trying to put him a lap down. And he'll clear him. He does get up to speed a little bit quicker than the 42. He pulled up a little bit before him, just enough to get a draft off those faster cars that were already obviously up to speed, like Ward Burton. He got a big pull down the back straightaway, and that's why he was able to clear McMurray coming out of the pits. Jamie seemed to give up a little bit more time than Biffle did coming on the pit road as well. Big pack of lap traffic now just up ahead. A 100 laps to go currently at California Speedway. There'll be 99 to go this time by. Greg Biffle out in front. A track he has won at in his NASCAR career. And again, obviously not at this time. He only won one race his rookie season. That was at Daytona, the Pepsi 400 back in 2003. Still one of his better racetracks. Really good on the 2-mile tracks in general, both here and Michigan. Multiple wins at Michigan in his career. Bill Burton giving him a lot of room to the inside. And oh boy, almost made contact on corner exit. Under 100 to go, so we know these other drivers probably going to be racing a little bit more aggressively. We've seen that time and time again this season, especially in the final 100 laps of a race. The second half of the race, whatever comes first, depending on how many laps are ran. Seem to like the crowd, other drivers. Try to block a lot more aggressively as well. Another car on pit road. I'm not sure if that's a scheduled stop or not. Tough to tell. So one more pit stop to go. Biffle's still probably going to stretch this run out as far as he can before he pits next time, so he can have a little bit fresher tires to the end of the race compared to splitting it in half at 50 and 50. And he can go about 56 laps on a full tank of fuel, so he'll be good to go on one more pit stop. Some of these other drivers have been pitting really early. It's going to be a lot tougher for them to make it. Again, we'll just have to wait and see how it's going to work out. Craven nearly blocked Biffle right in the center of turns 1 and 2. That wouldn't have worked out very well. So that makes 4 drivers in the top 10 in the point standings that have not, or I should say that will not make it to the end of this race. No particular order. Sterling Marlin, Michael Waltrip, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Jr. 4 of the 10 drivers in the top 10 in points coming into today's race that will not make it to the finish. So for those other 6 drivers, it's got to feel pretty well. A couple of them are going to likely fall out of the top 10. I don't see Marlin staying in the top 10. He was 10th coming in. Michael Waltrip was 9th coming in. He might be outside of the top 10 as well at the end of the race. Jimmy Johnson was right there around 6th or 7th. So it won't necessarily shake up the actual championship favorite right now, Tony Stewart. It'll probably help him out more than anything, mainly because Dale Jr., who was 3rd in points, DNF'd. He's still in this thing, supposedly. Like David Green might have blocked there for a second, thought better of it. He moves up and lets Biffle get on by. Clearing him now before they get into turn 3. More drivers starting to go a lap down through the field. A lot of drivers are multiple laps down, but compared to the ones that are 1 lap down at least. Largest lead of the day for Greg Biffle as well, as it's nearly 23 seconds over Bobby Labonte. And this has now turned into the longest green flag run if we can go just a couple more laps. Last one green at lap 103. .60-lap even green flag run is the longest green flag run up to this point.
Still beside you. Clear all around. The 5 cars passing Hines. The 10 car is putting a block on you. Number 10 is outside.
Ryan Newman currently is at least running in front of Stewart. And again, he's the only other driver that's within a race worth of points, which would be 151. And mathematically, you have a shot to at least tie for the points lead at the end of the day. And Newman came into this race 123 back of Tony Stewart. Junior came in 127 back. Junior's DNF'd. He's going to be over a race worth of points out again. Unless Tony Stewart can't make it to the finish. That might even give Newman the points lead if you think about it too. With how well Newman's ran today, he can make it to the end. He'd probably be within the top 5. Stewart now back into the top 5 all of a sudden. Speaking of him, Matt Kenseth's back up to 3rd as well. Again, it seems like Biffle, Kenseth, and Stewart of the leaders at least, and the drivers in the top 10 have been staying out about 5 to 10 laps longer. They could stretch it a little longer than some of these other guys that have pitted before him frequently today. Thought for a second Mark Martin was going to start blocking Biffle late in the race. I mean, we have seen teammates in the past do that, I guess. I can think back to Jeff Burton. There was a couple races in a row. He was about to go a lap down late in the race when Biffle was leading and was blocking for his life there. So, again, it really doesn't matter with this game and the AI of who it is that does the blocking. Somebody tries to do it. .26.5 second lead nearly on Lepage. Surprised Mike Skinner's still running after that caution he had earlier in the day after a single car spin. Almost like something might have broke on the car. He was sparking after he had hit the wall. Maybe cut a tire down with how he hit it. And also cutting a tire down might have been the cause of him spinning, obviously, in the center of the corner as well. Maybe it blew and the car from there just stepped out on him. That definitely wouldn't be surprising.
The 4 car is outside. Number 4 is gaining on you. They're all around.
We don't want him in beside us.
You're clear.
Harvick is on the lead lap. Harvick's also DNF'd in 2 straight races coming into today's race. Not sure where he's running right now, but he's just now going to go his first lap down in turns 1 and 2. Maybe putting him in a hole for the final 80 laps at his home track. Raised in Bakersfield, California. Hello, lead lap car. Dale Jarrett now about to go a lap down off of turn 4. Biffle with a run. A near 29-second lead as Matt Kenseth now has moved up to third. Oh, contact. From the 88 and the 16 as Biffle drives on by. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles one final time now in today's race, starting at the start-finish line. It'll be lap 175. So just like that, that is another 5 bonus points for Greg Biffle as he has clinched the most laps led with 76 to go here at the Auto Club 500 California Speedway. So 10 bonus points. It'll be another max points day with a win. It would be the second straight. A quarter of the season still to go after today's race, which would be the final 9 races of the year. Likely one more pit stop still to go. A 30-second lead, by far the largest lead of the day for Greg Biffle, and it's over his teammate nonetheless of Matt Kenseth, who again has another strong run going this year. And it seems like when Kenseth has these strong runs, the one guy ahead of him is his teammate Biffle. Seems to kind of seal the deal before he has a shot to get up there by the end. Stewart not that far behind Newman in 4th. You know Newman's going to battle hard with him being 2nd in points coming into today's race. Again, the top 2 in the point standings haven't really won this year. Tony Stewart's only got 1 victory. Ryan Newman doesn't have any. But they've been the 2 most consistent drivers up to this point. Well, you have drivers with multiple wins. Dale Jr., who was in 3rd, but obviously DNF, so he's probably going to fall back in the standings at least a spot or 2, I'd have to imagine, assuming guys like Kevin Harvick and Dale Jarrett, who are running well and in the top 10 right now, can make it to the finish of the race, running where they're at right now. I mean, up to this point, it's just a nice, quiet Sunday drive. Again, the longest green flag run of the race now is the one we're currently on. 3 cautions up to this point, and we last went green at lap 103. So no cautions in the second half of today's race. Jeff Gordon now about to go a lap down. And now he's blocking to try and stay on the lead lap. Ooh, Biffle lifted there. He gave Gordon the leeway. Biffle crosses him over down to the apron off of turn 2. Really drove that car to the inside. He's getting a pretty good draft off his teammate Kurt Busch. Biffle now slides underneath Busch in the center. Turns 3 and 4, both Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon now go a lap down that lap. And they're both in the top 10 as well. The pit window for Biffle opens up with 56 to go. But again, he will not pit until fuel tank is near dry. It seems like he's actually burning more fuel this fuel run than what he has up to this point. Still has just over a third of a tank left. And 22 gallons fit in that race car. Ryan Newman has charged himself up to 2nd. Getting by both Matt Kenseth and the 3rd place driver at the time. Newman was sitting in 4th there for a little while. Tony was catching him, and then I think the run kind of stalled out again with Stewart and Kenseth short pitting. it's going to help for those first probably 5 to 10, maybe even 15 laps after the run. But you see Labonte, the other driver. Kenseth's now back to 4th. Labonte has gotten back around Matt Kenseth as well. In all reality, the top 5 is not that much further ahead of Greg Biffle. Probably going to be dangerous if he tries to put Tony Stewart a lap down, if he gets a chance to do it. Stewart, the only rival that is angry enough at Biffle to try and take a hit on him. We've seen it already once when they met, but that was for position. In your circumstance here, if the points leader goes a lap down in this race, so much harder back in this season and prior to get back on the lead lap because there's no wave around. Well, there is a wave around, but obviously you need all the lead lap cars ahead of you to pit, and you have to stay out. Everybody still needs one more pit stop to the end of the race. You likely won't see Stewart take a wave around. You'd have to earn it the old-fashioned way under green and try to race back around. I just don't think he's got quite that fast of a race car. 35.5-second lead nearly on Newman. Unbelievable. I mean, these are the 4 drivers not that far in front of him. And again, there's Tony Stewart. So things can get very interesting here in the next lap or two. Stewart was involved in the big one earlier. Biffle trying to draft him down the back straightaway right now, but indeed I'd have to imagine he's going to block Biffle if he gets the chance. Biffle gets underneath him. Biffle's trying to get around him, and I think he has gotten around him cleanly. Clears him off of turn 4. So Biffle, somehow, without Tony Stewart even getting alongside of him, or even with him getting alongside of him, wasn't able to do anything. Stewart is all over the back of Greg Biffle, though. He wants to get right back by him. Biffle's now getting a pole off of Steve Park. Again, trying to get away from Stewart. Going to get underneath Matt Kenseth. Kenseth's going to go a lap down in 4th. Bobby Labonte, I mean, Biffle's just blowing by these guys. No match in the longer run. Biffle really loose going into turn 1 underneath Labonte. He drove it in deep. Clears him. And now here comes Ryan Newman. Biffle's going to draft down the back straightaway. He's going to look to the outside. Maybe trying to set up Newman, trying to get him off the bottom. Newman got a little tight in the center of the corner. Ooh, tried to cut down and block Biffle. Biffle just gets back underneath him, though. All clear. Biffle has lapped the field here in Fontana. Right before the 4th and final stop of the race, again coming up in probably 10 laps or less. After this longest green flag run of the day. Now, they have been short pitting on him today, so if they do that again and pit as soon as that window opens here in a couple laps, they could get back on the lead lap and everything cycles through, and then if they get a caution from that point, they're still in it. Would not be surprising with how long of a green flag run we've gone on so far. Isn't the Fontana you're used to right now, though, as well, with it being so bumpy, so tire dependent at this point in time. There's a lot more grip on the track, causing for even higher speeds. The straightaway speed has really separated Biffle from everybody else today. It just seems like he blows down the straightaway so much faster. Whether he's in the draft or not, he just kind of pulls him a little bit, even when he's not in the draft. Barely has to let out of the gas in the corners. The great control in the car as well for pretty much all day. Still have laps to finish. 59 laps to go at the line here. At least for Biffle, the pit window won't open up until 56 to go. He's going to be the last driver to pit again. Just in case we get a caution. Haven't had any cautions in the middle of green flag stops today, but after the first set of green flag stops, that's when the caution came out after everybody cycled through about 2 to 3 laps after the fact. Which also made it interesting for Mike Skinner to lose control of his race car in 3 and 4 when he had a little bit fresher tires. There goes Jerry Nadeau to pit road. Some of these guys pitting right now, I don't know if they're going to make it to the end. That's a long ways to go. Right about 57, 58 laps.
Right rears get more. Keep an eye out.
The hope is maybe they're thinking they're going to go another lap down by the end of the race anyway, so that's a lap less they would have to run. Could be a thought process in that as well. Tony Stewart up to third. He has gotten around both Matt Kenseth and Bobby Labonte. He's in third place before pit stop's last run, but he was behind his teammate Labonte, not Ryan Newman. Bump and run there on Sprague. Second time he's gotten in the back of Sprague very, very lightly today. No problems both times, though. Should be able to take it just past lap 200 before Biffle has to pit. Give us just less than 50 laps to go. Plenty good to the end on fuel from there. No threat of overtime back in 2003, so knowing that we will only run to the scheduled distance. All these guys in the top 5 behind him that have been short pitting. We know Labonte has already done it. He's been one of the drivers to do it most of the year. It's been working out for him a lot more recently. Well, he was able to go to victory lane already within the last handful of races. Winning that second Pocono race this season. Just 4 races ago. Drivers that were in the top 3, though, Newman and Stewart still have not pitted. Stewart's only pitted a couple laps before Biffle all day today. So I don't really expect him to pit. Looks like Stewart and Robbie Gordon are on pit road.
Go easy on those Eagles, driver.
I'm surprised Newman's able to stretch this run out as long as he has. Sorry, Robbie Gordon's right here.
Road's getting busy. Leave it for
Just up ahead. I think he might be coming to pit road this time. He's probably trying to get to the inside of
number 31 is coming high.
Biffle, but now I'll just drop in line behind him. Lap 200. It'll be 50 laps to go this time by.
Okay, we're clear.
Just under a gallon of fuel left. Staying out this time. He might be able to stay out one more lap afterwards. 50 to go now. Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart still on the track.
Don't worry about him, Mark. He's feeling nice today.
We're really hoping Stewart pits so he doesn't have any sort of shot of leading a lap. Getting 5 bonus points. Stewart's still on the racetrack. Newman came to pit road that last lap. That gives Tony Stewart second place for the moment. And he was really hoping Biffle pits. Biffle still might come out ahead of him. Just to be sure. Biffle cannot go any further. He's going to have to come to pit road this time.
Left front tire's a little worn.
So Biffle coming onto pit road. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit. Easily does not speed that time. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel. The final pit stop of the race today. 3rd under green. For the race leader. Biffle tries to get his 12th win of the season. Pretty fast pit stop once again there for Biffle. His pit crew's been on it all day long. He is still out in front. Still unaware if Tony Stewart came to pit road or not. Again, might be trying to stay out as long as he can to try and get a lap led and get 5 bonus points. As Biffle's getting up to speed down the back straightaway, Stewart's nowhere to be found for the moment. It looks like Biffle should be able to lead this lap at the line as well and end up not losing the lead during the course of this run. We'll see if anybody else was able to get back on the lead lap, though. That is going to be another thing. Again, like Bobby Labonte, who short pitted. So Stewart came to pit road, same lap that Biffle did. I believe Robbie Gordon still has to pit. That's why he's in second. So again, Biffle is not 2 laps ahead of the field. He's only 1 lap ahead. Again, for whatever reason, it averages out. I don't know how it averages, but it averages out. In the second half of the race. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it stopped averaging now. It's showing him as 1 lap down. Again, Robbie Gordon still has to come to pit road. Better be careful so he doesn't run out of fuel. Matt Kenseth was able to cycle ahead of Labonte, despite the fact that Bobby was just ahead of him coming into pit road in the first place. So a little bit faster stop on the 17 crew. That's one thing, too. Kenseth's been taking it just as long as Stewart for the most part today, but that last time he did not. He actually pitted right about the same time that Labonte came to pit road, and it was Ryan Newman who stayed out almost as long as Stewart, pitted maybe a lap or two right before him. A little interesting there. Maybe it has to do with those two battling each other in points. Sure, that might have had something to do with it. I think Robbie Gordon's come to pit road this time now. Oh yeah, plenty of fuel to make it to the end. Biffle's been able to go 56 laps a couple times today on fuel. He pitted with about 48, 47 laps to go, so he should be just less than 10 laps to the good. So I'm hoping it stays that way, but it seems like by the end of the run he's able to get right back in the top 3. So we'll see what both Newman and Stewart can do on their strategies. That'd be insane if we go on a 147-lap green flag run to end the race if we don't get a single caution from lap 103 on. Didn't think that was going to happen the way we had 3 cautions in those first 103 laps. These guys cleaned it up pretty well. We haven't really even seen many aggressive blocks by the AI in the second half of this race like you would usually see as well, and that has really helped. But Biffle's been the king on the 2-mile tracks this season. He won both Michigan races, getting a sweep there, and this is the only trip to California, and obviously he's led the most laps already, has clinched that, and he's looking for another max points day today. Again, the Sharpie 500 at Bristol will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be the Bristol night race on this NASCAR Thunder 2004 season. Going to be a lot of fun. Biffle did win the Food City 500 at Bristol earlier this year. His only win on a short track this season. Came in the first 5 races of the year. Again, pretty calm finish of the race. They haven't really had a lot to talk about over the last, about 60, 70, 80 laps, other than Biffle's dominance. Really taking over. We didn't see him lead a single green flag lap until lap 61. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's led every lap since, even under the couple green flag pit stops since then he's led. Almost lost the lead to Bobby Labonte and Dale Jr. on that last restart at lap 103, but was able to hold on to it one way or another. Never lost the lead, despite a couple lap cars getting by on the restart. Over 400 miles complete in this race. And again, on this fast of a racetrack, you never know. We could see more engine failures before the end of the day. We've had quite a few up to this point. Bill Elliott blocking Greg Biffle all the way down to the apron, down the back straightaway. So now that's starting to intensify just a little bit. Biffle drives right by him, though, into turns 3 and 4. Indeed, Ethan. Yeah, Biffle shouldn't have to pit the rest of the race today. Even with the big lead, last thing you want to do is give them the wave around, and then we get another caution, and they end up pitting, so want to give them zero chance to get back into this thing, even if we get a yellow. The only thing that could really happen is Biffle hasn't been good on the restarts today. We've seen a couple lap cars pass him every time, as if we get a caution, say the second or third place car, get around him on a restart. Then another caution comes out immediately after. We usually tend to see debris cautions after a big accident if it is a major one. Frankie Smith, welcome to the stream. .30 laps to go here at Fontana. Biffle has a 1-lap lead on his teammate Matt Kenseth. Trying to see if Roush Fenway can get a 1-2 finish at the front of the field. They've been close a few times this season. Yeah, and it has been clean racing for the most part today. I mean, Greg Biffle really doesn't have many scuffs on the car. The only real incident we had anywhere near him, again, was that big accident that He started when he turned Tony Stewart down the back straightaway after Stewart put him in the wall a couple laps before that. A couple cautions since then. He was able to do a pretty good job of keeping the car clean from that point on. Ward Burton tried to race him hard there for about a half a lap. Tony Stewart's back in the top 5. Kansas not the only Roush Fenway Ford in the top 5 as well. Kurt Busch is currently running in 4th. Stewart continues to try and move forward. He was running in the back half of the top 10 when he DNF'd in the last race, and again, it was with 22 to go. We are nearing that point here in this one. We'll have just 27 laps left at the start-finish line this time by. It's going to be the first win in a 500-mile race for Greg Biffle this season. That is not on a super speedway at Talladega. And he's won 2 Talladega races this season. The first 2. Still go there one more time on this custom schedule season in a couple races. That could definitely shake the running order for Tony Stewart as well. Even if he doesn't get in an accident, you could probably see him finish outside the top 20 or something of that nature. And Stewart up to 4th now. Getting around Kurt Busch. Wonderful Bonnie's going to let his teammate go to make it even easier for him to win the championship. Bonnie's not really in the running for the championship up to this point this season. As we get in the later portion of the race. Jamie McMurray now trying to block the 16 of Biffle. 25 to go. Why Ryan Newman fell outside of the top 5 pitting as late as he did? Again, the only other rival Biffle could possibly catch is Stewart, but I don't even think he's going to catch him and put him a second lap down. Luckily enough, he was able to pass him cleanly and quickly in 3 and 4 the last time those two met, when he did put him a lap down originally. Martin just kind of clipped the right front of Biffle's car. Biffle drove it well still in 1 and 2, clears him and puts Martin a second lap down. Jeff Green, the only running DEI driver on the racetrack right now after Michael Waltrip. Dale Jr. had their problems. Waltrip DNF'd after being involved in that big accident in the first 30 laps of the race. And of course, Dale Jr. blew an engine midway through today's race as well. Moss B Jam 1, welcome to the stream. Another dominant second half of a race here for Biffle. And again, Stewart, Kurt Busch, they are not 2 laps down. They're only 1 lap down. And this game likes to average for whatever reason in the second half of a race. And I'm not sure how exactly dictates it. I think it's if they're like more than a half a lap down. It starts to do that for whatever reason. No, Tony Stewart's 1 lap down. Yeah. Again, it was just 1 lap down a couple laps ago, and we haven't passed him since. See, same thing with Labonte. We haven't been passing him either. It just averages out for whatever reason. So again, Biffle's only got a 1 lap lead on the field Ricky Rudd in the 21. Isn't that a great day?
20 more.
20 laps to go here at Fontana.
Still there.
Biffle in that outside lane in 1 and 2, still trying to get around Ricky Rudd.
Be patient.
Tremendous grip in that race car. Oh!
Take it easy out there.
Tried to block Rudd, and he
Going low.
definitely wasn't clear. That was not a wise idea, but they drive on. Luckily, nobody else was around him, and it was down the straightaway. They were able to keep control. So Ricky Rudd will go another lap down today. I think he's 2 or 3 laps down. At least 2. So by the way it's averaging, if I had to guess, Kenseth's probably quite a ways ahead of Labonte in second.
Got one eye. Keep an eye on your mirror. He's not too happy with you. You're clear. Got one outside.
Biffle is less than 20 laps away. From getting his 12th win of the year. Well, it's not that they wouldn't allow it. I mean, it's just... It's a lot harder. It's more competitive nowadays. And this is a video game. I mean, even at this time period, you didn't see anything like this. Just how fast our car is. And not only how fast the car is, it's a factor of us going over 100 laps green at a fast racetrack. It's been since the early 90s since somebody's won by more than, or somebody has won by a margin of victory of at least 1 lap. And we kind of talked about that on a live stream some time ago at North Wilkesboro. $15 to go this time. So it's not going to take 1 caution at this point. It's going to take at least 2 to try and get somebody back into this race. But you never know if Biffle's involved in that accident.
Got one eye. Still beside you. The 30 car is going hot. Clear.
Not as heavy of lab traffic as we've seen in a while, and it's not really all that heavy.
He's taking it easy on you. Is anyone else you can block? All right.
3 wide.
3 wide. Hold that line.
Underneath Casey Mears, Mike Skinner, a couple slower lap cars.
All clear.
Fall from grace from one race to the next for Casey Mears. He had a great top 10 day at Darlington. Basically out of nowhere. Fortunately today, right back So basically normal how he's ran for most of the season. Jeff Gordon in danger of going 2 laps down. He's in the top 10. Kyle Petty tries to go 3 wide up the middle. That kind of cost Gordon any sort of shot of even thinking about blocking Biffle there. So now Gordon's 2 laps down. Pretty large gap for the next lap car ahead of Biffle as well. Remember, we might see some guys running out of fuel at the end of this race. Some drivers were pitting with about 58, 59 laps to go, 57 to go. I don't think they can make it that far on fuel. Biffle's only been able to make it 56 laps. Tony Stewart's driven himself now up to 3rd. Again, we last went green after the 3rd caution of the race at lap 103, so it has been a very long green flag run to this point. And if we make it all the way to the checkered flag without another caution, it'll be a 147-lap green flag run to end today's race, after having 3 cautions in the first 99 laps. 10 laps remain. To go. Again, not everybody might not make. I was wording that really weirdly. No, but what I was gonna say is Greg Biffle's plenty good to go to the end on fuel. It's just some of these lap cars that were pitting extremely early. I don't know if they can make it exactly to the end of the race. But again, Biffle's been able to go 56 laps on fuel. He pitted with about 47, 48 laps to go, so he's plenty good to make it to the finish. 8 laps to go this time by. Tony Stewart is up to 2nd as he has just passed Matt Kenseth now. So it looks like if Tony Stewart finishes 2nd, again, I don't think he's led a lap today. He's only going to lose 15 points to Greg Biffle, even with Biffle having a max points day today. And again, Biffle not letting Stewart lead any laps. Really loose there. He had to get on the brakes as Dale Jarrett kind of chopped his nose off at the last second. Jarrett only 1 lap down. Biffle races to the outside of him down the back straightaway. He's going to clear him and block him now going into 3. He'll slide. He'll stay in front of him. Yeah, see, somebody's on pit road right now. Some drivers are running out of fuel at the end of this race. 6 laps left. A race that's pretty much all but over. Five to go. Ryan Newman up to 4th. We know Tony Stewart's good on field at the end of the race as well. So he might even have 2nd place locked up unless Newman can maybe catch him or even Matt Kenseth can get back around him. It's unbelievable how Stewart was able to rally back after having major damage being involved in the big one earlier, right around lap 30 in today's race. Great rally for him today. Just again proving why he is the championship favorite. Beating the second place driver in points, Newman, by a couple spots, and Dale Jr., who DNF'd, was third in points coming in. It's going to be right back to pretty much a two-horse race again. Still 9 races to go, so you can't count anybody out for sure, but Biffle just needs to keep clicking away wins, keep clicking away bonus points. They're leading the most laps, which would be 10. Try not to let Stewart get any laps led if he can help it. Still got a quarter of a season to go. It's 9 races out of 36 that still remain. And again, we'll find out tomorrow at Bristol in the Sharpie 500 how things are going to go there. Could be a possible wild card event in these final 9 races. Could jog the finishing order quite a bit. And once more, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard start time for that race tomorrow on NASCAR Thunder 04 for the Bristol night race in the Sharpie 500. 2 laps to go.
Just 2 laps left.
We saw a couple drivers hit pit road. Nobody's pit in a couple laps now.
You're almost right. Come in for some gas.
Here's Bobby Labonte now about to go another lap down, as well as Kurt Busch. Big run. Oh, Labonte just blocked Biffle down to the apron. A little bit of contact.
Clear on both sides.
He will clear Kurt Busch, though. Labonte trying to hang on as he got around Busch for 5th. Now Labonte goes a second lap down. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go.
Clear. All right. Okay, 1 lap.
Final lap of the race. Ryan Newman. Off of turn 4. He's going to be able to block Biffle off and hang on to his 1 lap down. But Greg Biffle will win the Auto Club 500 at the California Speedway by a pretty large margin of victory, just under 3 hours in this race today. And Biffle gets his 12th win of the season. And burn that engine until it can't go any longer.
Greg Biffle had to work hard for the win.
What an incredible race he.
From the rear to the front, Greg Biffle has won again. Back-to-back races now, but this one in a lot more dominating fashion. #12th win of the year. And he has climbed back into the top 10 in the point standings with a quarter of a season still remaining. Good thing there's no chase in 2003 because we would have missed it. We would have missed it by like 40 points. So we were 12th coming into the race today. I think we were like 40 points back from Marlin and 10th. But there's no chase, no playoffs. Season is still alive for Greg Biffle. Take a look at the finishing results to today's race. Tony Stewart indeed did not lead a lap. Greg Biffle led 186 of the 250 laps today. 3 cautions for 9 caution laps. Margin of victory again, 1 lap. Biffle dominated those really final 150 to 100 to 150 laps of today's race. It was pretty much no contest from that point, and we didn't get a caution those final 147 laps, so that definitely helped as well. Biffle again with the win from the back to the front. Tony Stewart's second. He is the points leader. He will increase that points lead over Newman. Biffle's the only driver that's going to gain on him. He'll gain 15 points today, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 15 points gained there for Biffle, but not a lot. He's still going to need Stewart to DNF 2 or 3 more times this year for him to get back into it. But not impossible. We got some wild card races still to go. Matt Kenseth finishes 3rd. Ryan Newman 4th. 5th was Bobby Labonte. Kurt Busch 6th. Dale Jarrett 7th. Kevin Harvick 8th. Jeff Gordon 9th. And Ricky Rudd actually came back and rounds out the top 10. He was outside the top 20 for a while, so good rally for him as well. We'll take a look at who all DNF'd in today's race. We had quite a few drivers that failed to finish, more than what even I thought. Jeremy Mayfield blew an engine. Ricky Craven blew an engine. Dale Jr. led laps, but he blew an engine. Joe Nemechek also blew an engine. Ken Schrader blew an engine. Rusty Wallace blew an engine. Jeff Burt blew an engine. He also got involved in the big one. He flipped earlier. Involved in the big one at lap 32. Jimmy Johnson as well was involved in the big one at lap 32. Knocked him out of the race. Waltrip was able to lead the first 2 laps today after starting on the pole. And Sterling Marlin blew an engine 10 laps into the race. So we had 11 drivers at DNF in today's 500-mile event. Take a look at the upcoming schedule. We'll take a look at the point standings before we get out of here today. Okay. Unlock a Kevin Harvick Busch Series car. Next race, as mentioned, the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Should be a fun one for the Bristol night race. Biffle trying to get the Bristol sweep. He won the Food City 500 earlier this season. Had a lot of green flag runs in that race, too. I think we only had 2 or 3 cautions in that one also. So we'll see how that will pan out. Perhaps a wild card race, especially under the lights at Bristol. Still waiting for it to load. All right. So following Bristol, we go to Talladega for the 3rd and final time this year. We'll call it the Talladega 500. Means we already had the EA Sports 500. And then Lowe's Motor Speedway will be the following race after Talladega for the UAW GM Quality 500. So another 500-miler there. And then we'll go to Watkins Glen for the 2nd and final time this season. Again, 9 races still to go. Quarter of the season. Anything could happen, but Tony Stewart has a massive points lead. Ryan Newman's still within a race, but not by a whole lot. Again, 151 points is the most you can gain on one specific driver in the race. So really the only chance that Newman has of getting the points lead is if Stewart doesn't lead a lap, finishes last, and Newman leads the most laps and wins. So that likely won't happen. So Tony Stewart's got a massive points lead. We'll see what will happen going forward. Dale Jr. falls from 3rd to 4th in the standings after that DNF and blowing an engine earlier in today's race. Dale Jarrett's up to 3rd now. Harvick's still 5th. Pretty good run there. Matt Kenseth, quite a good season. Winless, but he's 6th in points. Ricky Rudd 7th. Jimmy Johnson 8th. Greg Biffle moves up 3 spots in the standings. He goes from 12th in points to 9th. 714 back still, so still a lot of work to be done. In the final quarter of the season, 9 races to go. Michael Waltrip will still stay in the top 10, but he does lose 1 spot in the standings despite DNFing here today. Marlin falls outside of the top 10. He came in 10th, also another driver that DNF. Thanks everybody for watching here today. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams with the realistic broadcast on the daily as I have started my own young broadcasting career here on the channel. So follow me on that journey so I can hopefully one day live my dream of broadcasting real races within the NASCAR realm. Also hit the like button if you haven't already. If you enjoy the race, the commentary, the video in general, it also helps with the algorithm with YouTube. You guys have been awesome with hitting the like button over the last few streams especially. So good work on you guys. Continue it as I will continue mine. And that is going to wrap things up. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. I'll see you guys tomorrow evening. Again, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. NASCAR Thunder 04, Bristol night race for the Sharpie 500.